Good evening, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to our Friday night soiree, a gathering around the table where the cosmic Christ is present and where he calls us into a loving relationship of trust. He calls us to listen in the stillness of this late hour, for here in the UK it has just gone midnight. But it is good to come together and to give thanks to a loving God who sees us as a beloved child and who knows our needs better than we do. So let us trust. But first, I have lit our candle not just for peace, but for all the children of God who are wounded and hurting, and especially for the brothers and sisters of the Teo community of Interfaith Franciscans, many of whom at this time are struggling. But we pray for our sister Pam and her mom, who's in hospital, and for her beloved dog, Shadow. We remember our two sisters, Eleanor and Elizabeth, and their dear dog, Willie, whose condition has deteriorated rapidly and who may soon be called home to the eternal garden where Francis is waiting. And for all not logged in, may the peace of the risen Christ empower you to be still in the silence of this sacred moment. Let us relax now and just gather all our thoughts, our fears, our anxieties, and our list of requests. Be at peace in your heart. Be at peace in your soul. And as we sit here, I would like you to imagine that you are in a room, maybe your own room, and you hear a knock on the door to your prayer room. And you're startled because there's only you there. But you're not afraid. Something within you tells you you will be surprised. And as you gather yourself and walk to the door, you notice something quite unusual. A strong fragrance, a heavenly fragrance. And as you open the door, there is a young man standing at this door. And he asks you, "Will you invite me in?" And you look, and something tells you that this is not a visitor, a neighbor, or some long-distant relative come for a bag of sugar. It is Jesus, the cosmic Christ. But not only was he knocking on your door, he was knocking on the heart, the door to your heart. And you invite him in, and he sits with you. As you relax and gather your composure, And as you sit in reflective stillness and silence, your hands are resting on your lap, open. And he takes your hand. He holds your hand. And now he wants to speak with you. He wants to speak with you in the words of a song. Embrace it.
Last night I dreamed you were by my side. I held you like I used to do. Then I awoke and finally realized not a day goes by that I don't think of you. I know I've said some things that I regret. I'm sure you felt the same way too. And there are times I wish we'd never met. Not a day goes by that I don't think of you. Love is just something I don't understand, though I tried my hand a time or two. I don't remember ever feeling more for anyone before or since I met you. She's growing up to be a lot like me. But I can see you in her too. There's not a day I don't look in her eyes. Not a day goes by that I don't think of you. Love is just something I don't understand, though I tried my hand a time or two. I don't remember ever feeling more for anyone before or since I met you. Last night I dreamed you were by my side. I held you like I used to do. Then I awoke and finally realized Not a day goes by that I don't think of you. Not a day goes by that I don't think of you.
Coming to our hearts, we come from our heart to embrace the Christ who is beside us and whose divine essence is within us. But I'd like to share with you a few personal reflections given to my heart as I sat here preparing to go live. These days, many people, no doubt you, too, are being called into a deeper experience of God in many ways. That is what a mystic is. Someone who wants to engage in direct dialogue with God. That desire ignites an interior flame that burns for the rest of your life, lightening your way. A great fire can follow a small spark, wrote Dante. Perhaps you feel a mysterious stirring deep within you, a restlessness or anticipation that you don't understand. Perhaps you have a sense that you need to get in harmony with an unseen order. It could be the beginnings of your mystical births. For some people, a soul calling reveals itself in an instant. But most of us have to contemplate the guidance we receive in order to understand and respond to it. To help us read God's symbols and mysteries, we turn to the spiritual masters and the mystics. Today, however, we read these texts in coffee shops and our homes, often oblivious to the fact that we may be awakening something deeper as we read. Arousing the soul has profound consequences, for once it announces itself, it requires attention, prayer, spiritual direction. It wants to express itself through acts of compassion and service. Your soul is your connection with eternity, your intermediary between earth and heaven, between your everyday physical life and a higher reality. It is your calm eye in the hurricane of a chaotic world, yet it burns to realize its purpose, to communicate with God. It waits impatiently for the opportunity and avenue to unveil itself to you, your own divinity, the God within you. Consider the words of Saint Teresa of Avila from the Interior Castle. I began to think of the soul as if it were a castle made of a single diamond or of very clear crystal, in which there are many rooms, just as in heaven there are many mansions, some above, others below, others at each side, and in the center and in the midst of them, all is the chiefest mansion where the most secret things pass between God and the soul. Who would not be seduced by those words? What secrets does God hold for you? If you could find a way into those beautiful mansions in your soul where dialogue is between you and God is possible, would you not pursue that? But you have a major obstacle to overcome in order to communicate with God. Your reliance on your mind in matters of spirit. Usually, for instance, you pray for help or guidance about everyday matters such as your health, your career and finances, or your romantic, familial, or other relationships. You expect the answer to your prayer to come in a conventional form, perhaps as a new job or a relationship, and you generally look, listen, feel and think your way through the guidance. You tend to intellectualize it. The mind, however, is useless in finding a way into mystical waters. As I said to one person who was describing his yearnings to experience God and his frustrations, your mind is exhausted in its search. You need to finally let your soul have at it. Get your mind out of your soul's way. The mind, as Teresa would say, is simply not strong enough to make the journey. Coming to God is the soul's task, and the awakened soul will agitate and pull at you until you wade in and begin to reach out to the divine. To help you anticipate some of the challenges you will encounter in the unknown depths through which you will be swimming. Entering the castle your soul provides a mystical map and practices that guide and orient you, your mind, and your soul. All mystics, medieval and contemporary, East and West, Christian and Jew, Hindu and Buddhist, were familiar with the consequences of exposure to mystical truths. They are, symbolically speaking, blinding. They can stun you, knock you off your horse, and blind you for 3 days, as they did to Saul on the road to Damascus. They short-circuit you until you get your bearings. You never know what they will recover or uncover when diving into the unknown, your subconscious and your soul. The journey absolutely changes you. You need the guidance and counsel of mystics who have gone before you. Exposure to truth changes your life, period. Whether that truth is a revelation about personal honesty and integrity, or a divine revelation that reorganizes your place in the universe. This is why most people run from truth rather than toward it. But mystics sought refuge in monasteries because they wanted to be knocked off their horses by truth, right? They wanted their apparitions and stigmata and miracles. They wanted their mystical roadmaps. The outside world was no place for people with this type of phenomena. If not outrageous, relationship to God. Maybe so, but given the personal, spiritual, social, financial, business, and political problems and challenges facing you and me today, we do need this kind of power out in the world. We need the insight that comes from intimacy with God. We even seek such spiritual guidance by going on weekend retreats or vacations at ashrams and monasteries, spiritually seductive places that recharge body and soul. But more than relaxation and de-stressing, we are seeking a genuine encounter with the power of grace. We want the faith of the mystic. We want a sense of the divine to seep into our cell tissue. We want to believe that we are being watched over by God. The contemporary mystic is called to represent an invisible power in the world through a personal spiritual practice, through the power of prayer, through living consciously and practicing compassion, and through becoming a channel for grace. Like the mystics who changed the world, even though they remained behind monastic doors, a mystic without a monastery serves visibly in his or her personal life, among friends, family, co-workers, strangers, and adversaries, and invisibly through prayer and channeling grace into the greater world. As a contemporary mystic, you are measured by the quality of attitude you bring to all tasks, by your capacity to be a model of generosity, and by challenging the fear that there is not enough to go around in the world, whether that is money, love, food, fame, power, attention, success, or social position. Mystical service means modeling calm in chaos, kindness amid anger, forgiveness at all times, personal integrity to live, in other words, mindful that every second offers a choice, either to channel grace or to withhold it. Let us be still, and let us allow the Christ touch us. Let us allow the Christ knock on the door of our heart, releasing us from a mindset that deceives us, of always wanting to be in control, of giving lip service to God with a closed heart. And there are many today who only give lip service to God because their hearts are closed through fear. through fear. And the only way, I believe, to experience the healing touch of the Christ in your life is to take responsibility for your life, for your mind, for your body, for your soul. You cannot sacrifice one at the expense of the other, for then you won't have equilibrium or balance. Let us relax now as we allow the Christ to speak to our hearts and share with us. Am I blocking the healing touch of God? Am I putting obstacles in the way of the Christ giving me profound healing through stubbornness, through a mindset of fear and greed, power, manipulation, deceitfulness, through violating the sacred within me by stepping out of my comfort zone, the zone of God's protective love? Listen to the inner voice, for that voice is the beloved who desires you, and asks nothing of you, only that you will surrender your positives, your negatives, your strengths, your weaknesses, your truth, your dishonesty, that you will surrender the violent acts that we are guilty of to ourselves by abusing our mind, our body, and spirit. Let us allow the Christ lay his healing hand on our heart. And now experience the power of his love for you. Experience the liberation it brings to you as you take the first step as a pilgrim seeking clarity. Come as you are, in your woundedness, in your brokenness, and surrender to the divine within you and receive abundant grace. Receive the healing touch of a loving God. Relax now, for he is here with you.